And so what we want to look at unifying is your intention, like what you really want out of life, what you're intending to do, and your action. And as they get closer and closer together, you become more and more the real you and less of the idea of you. Hey, this is Drew and welcome to Sobriety Daily. So today what we're going to be talking about is how do we actually recognize authentic sobriety? So a lot of times we're like, okay, we get in there and then sometimes we kind of fake it till we make it. And we're kind of like, okay, well, how does this sobriety thing actually work? How will I know when I've kind of like achieved an authentic kind of walking around and being sober kind of thing? One of the biggest ways to know the difference, and I think one of the hardest things that people who are kind of getting into the sobriety thing, one of the hardest things is, do you know the difference between you and the idea of you? So I think a lot of us have this idea in our heads that what we are or what we should be or what we could have become, or, we have all these kind of ideas and thoughts of how we should behave, how we shouldn't behave. And really, that's not exactly you. It's more like the idea of you, or in a more kind of Zen sense, it's all the different labels that you've applied to you. I'm a surfer, or I'm a climber, or, I'm a collector, I'm a hoarder, I'm a this, I'm a that. Like one of those things, and really when you label yourself as something, that's kind of like a judgment on yourself that you are this, which means you are definitely not that. So one of the big things with getting sober is learning to differentiate the difference between the idea of who you are versus the actual who you are. So one of the biggest ways to know whether or not you're being authentic or not is to look at when you feel conflicted about something. So a lot of times we'll kind of get this kind of crunchy, I get a crunchy feeling in my gut. We all kind of feel it in different. What are we talking about here? Like, why am I conflicted? Is it the idea of me that's conflicted? Or is it the actual me that wants to come out that's conflicted? So we just have to you have to look at your own conflicting natures and say, okay, well, have I judged myself as being a quiet person or an introvert, or, I'm just a strong silent type or whatever. And so you judge yourself as that. And so when you go to a meeting, you don't speak, right? Or you judge yourself as the guy who talks all the time, and therefore you become the guy who doesn't ever listen. And so what we want to look at unifying is your intention, like what you really want out of life, what you're intending to do, and your action. And as they get closer and closer together, you become more and more the real you and less of the idea of you. And so what we're looking for then is this kind of feeling, and I think we've all met people like this, and what they feel like is they just feel miraculously natural. So when they're so much themselves that when you get around them, it's just, well, it's hard to be the idea of you because it's just easier to be the real you. And so the closer you get to having this authentic sobriety, and really it's about not judging yourself, not being too hard on yourself, and learning to recognize the difference between some sort of false concept you have of yourself and the real you that's actually here right now, and learning to love that part of you. So kind of a challenge for today is notice when you get conflicted, notice when you get angry, notice when you might eat the wrong food or you might say the wrong thing, and just say, okay, this part of me is conflicted. Which part do I want to align myself with right now? The idea of who I am, or with the actual me? Hey, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like. Let me know what is an actual thing that is conflicting inside of you, or what ideas of yourself have you kind of held to that you've learned to let go of. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and you have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye now.